Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
Gio set up Michael in an agitated and angry mood when he arrived home from court. Gio asked if he could help. "I do not suppose there's anything that could help me now," Michael said. Michael and Gio made small talk, with Michael thanking Gio for his Christmas violin performance. After Gio left, Christina arrived and apologized for not advising Michael. "Advise me? Did you know your mama was going to annihilate me in court moment?" he asked. They took effects into the living room so Christina could tell Michael what she knew about Alexis' strategy, including how she set up an anonymous note in Alexis' brochure. Christina also informed Michael that she had given Jacinda plutocrat and told her to leave city. She was surprised that she took the plutocrat and witnessed anyway. Michael admitted that Jacinda did try to advise him, but got called to the stage. He just wished Jacinda had told him about Ezra ahead. "I have told my fair share of falsehoods. I just hope my falsehoods have not bring me my children," Michael soughed. He was sure that Willow would be acquitted. Kai and Trina returned to her apartment, with Kai enough much induced that the ringtone they heard was Wiley calling Michael. That meant he'd to have gone inside the house for them to hear it. "Kai, stop. We need to drop this and stay out of this," Trina claimed. Trina was about to hurt Jocelyn by turning in her family. "It would destroy her if commodity happened to him. She'd cover me, and I've to do the same for her." Kai just wanted to know who would cover Willow. Trina was enough confident that Alexis would get Willow acquitted, so they just demanded to keep their mouths shut. "Our whole thing was to cover my parents in case they were involved with Drew's firing. Easily, they are not, so we can just leave this alone," Trina claimed. Kai dissented and refused to stay out of effects. Kai promised not to say anything unless Trina agreed, but he tried to move her to see effects his way. Trina said she'd help him prove that it was Michael before they made another move. She also called Gio over to help them figure out Wiley's ringtone. They made multiple suggestions that terrified Gio. "You know this is weird. I know you have a reason for all of this, but you are going to have to tell me what it's if you want my help," Gio said. Trina explained that she could not unfold, so Gio refused to do what his musketeers wanted. "I'm not going to lie to Wiley or snare his phone 'cause he's a little sprat," Gio told her. Trina said that they were doing this for Wiley. "This is about the verity, and we both know what it's like to have that kept from us," Trina said. That got to Gio, and he agreed to help without knowing all the details. At her office, Alexis praised Suzanne for her performance when handing her that brochure. Alexis felt this was the stylish day for Willow's trial yet. Suzanne indeed had a Greek New Year's cutlet handy as good luck before closing arguments. "Since this case is nearly won, why not?" Alexis said about eating a piece. Drew prayed to differ. He and Willow appeared, as Drew said, "Unfortunately, nearly isn't good enough." They were both surprised to hear that Alexis planned to rest her case when court proceeded in the morning. Suzanne assured Drew and Willow that the jury would love that. Alexis felt the jury had their reasonable mistrustfulness. Drew again prayed to differ. "I do not want reasonable mistrustfulness. I want no mistrustfulness. That is why you are putting me on the stage hereafter," Drew claimed. Alexis allowed. That was an absurd idea, but Drew wouldn't let it go. Willow told Drew that he did not need to do or say anything differently in court. "I agree with Alexis and Suzanne," she said, but also threw Alexis a curveball. "It cannot be you on the stage. It has to be me," she suggested, giving Alexis more agita. Alexis told Willow that wouldn't be passing, but Willow claimed she could stand up to Justine. "You do have a history of breakdowns in court," Suzanne still refocused out. A ticked-off Alexis had just had it. "Then's how this is going to go. Neither one of you is going to swear. Hereafter, I near. And after Willow is acquitted, if you want to do whatever you want to do with Michael, go for it. But I'm not going to have done everything that I've done and have you two blow it for me right now," she said, putting her bottom down. Not so unexpectedly, Drew did not hear and continued to contend that he was right and Alexis was wrong. Alexis said she wasn't making a mistake. "You're if you suppose you are the bone. Calling the shots then, Drew arrogantly said. This isn't a request. This is an order. You'll put me on the stage hereafter. Do I need to remind you what is at stake then? Beget, you had such a good day with Scout the day after Christmas. I am assuming you presumably want further of those, right? The look on Willow's face said shock and nausea, but she did not speak up as she heard her hubby hang to make his own child miserable. Alexis eventually gave in. You want to swear? Go for it. Do not say I did not advise you, she said. Once the horrible twain was gone, an apoplectic Alexis was sure she was going to lose her case. In the staying area, Drew promised Willow that hereafter is going to change everything. He also took Willow in his arms, but he did not feel so sure. In the PCPD interrogation room, Dante claimed on going over every piece of substantiation formally again to make sure Willow was not condemned of a crime that his family may have committed. He wanted to pull all of Michael's and Willow's cell phone records to see when Wiley really called, and who he called. Dante was also angry at himself, so he asked Nathan to handle this for now so that he could clear his head. Dante also did not trust himself. When Nathan was alone, going through substantiation, Molly arrived to do Justine's dirty work. The assistant quarter attorney was on the warpath and wanted an substantiation update. Turner wants substantiation on Willow. So, look for commodity that will seal our case, not muddy it, Molly said. Nathan also asked, are you speaking for the adjunct DA or someone close to Michael Corinthos? Molly admitted she had multiple conflicts of interest and reiterated that she was just doing a favor for Justine and had no input. Tracy claimed to Lulu that they had to find out who gave that secret information about Michael and Tracy to Alexis. I made an oath to cover my family. Notoriety made me betray Monica, she said. Lulu took Tracy through what Alexis had done again. Tracy realized that Alexis did not have an factual substantiation. She just had a tip and demanded Tracy to confirm the tip. Tracy told Lulu that she only spoke about the night with Michael at home, and someone must have heard her. Also, the person who betrayed me lives in my house, Tracy concluded. Lulu and Tracy both wondered if it could have been Chase. However, heaven help him, if it's him. After Tracy left, Dante popped in, presumably to see how Charlotte was doing. Lulu could tell that commodity was bothering Dante. She had heard what happened in court and knew how shamefaced Dante still felt about Michael's captivity assault when Michael was a teenager. You know I am always then for you, she said. Dante sat down with Lulu and commended his passions about how he handled the disquisition. He was angry at himself, but Lulu understood how he no way wanted to see Michael behind bars again. You cannot condemn yourself for this, Lulu said. Dante felt his instincts had been off about everything, including how he'd handled Gio and Rocco. Lulu gave Dante the support he demanded, telling him that he has been right in life way further than he has been wrong. Laura was shocked when Ezra joined her at her Port Charles grill table, where she was staying to meet with Marty. She snappily got relief of him just before Marty arrived. She informed him that Kevin took Ace to Ireland, for good. Laura explained that the last many months had been so chaotic that she bothered about Ace picking up on the negativity, so she had Kevin take him so he could accept a new job. Marty was not buying it. That answer was as uncompelling as it was well rehearsed, he said, before asking what was really going on. She eventually told him that she stressed Valentine posed a peril to Ace due to him being the sole Cassadine heir at law. Marty said up that hard to believe, considering that Valentine was his BFF. Eventually, Marty believed Laura's reason, indeed if he allowed. Her fear was unjustified. Tracy soon appeared and changed amenities with Laura, but not with Marty. I would like to know the status of my family's effects, Tracy said to Marty. He told her he'd tried talking to Drew, but he was too abstracted with Willow's trial. Before he left, Marty eventually promised to get the family heritages back. Once outdoors, Marty lurked through the window and recalled doing the same thing outside the Q kitchen as Michael and Tracy spoke of the night Drew killed, surprising nothing in the audience. At another table, Jacinda sat down with Ezra at his decree. He said he wanted to make effects better for her after the day in court. He sounded to suppose they had a meaningful relationship, despite meeting on a professional base. We're eventually free. We can have commodity real now, he said. Jacinda did her stylish to let Ezra down readily, telling him a relationship with her will not help his political career. She said she allowed. It was stylish if she left city and started over nearly differently. After Ezra went to get a bottle of wine, he noticed Jacinda had dissolved. Port Charles had never felt more charged with tension than it did that evening, the air practically humming with unresolved questions, lingering fears, and unspoken threats. Michael Corinthos stormed into the Q mansion, his temper barely contained and his mind replaying every gut-wrenching moment from the courtroom. Gio arrived shortly after, sensing immediately that Michael was in a volatile state. "Can I help?" he asked cautiously, his voice calm yet probing. Michael barely spared him a glance, his words cutting through the tension. "I don't think there's anything that could help me now," he said, his frustration palpable. It was more than anger, it was the raw, unfiltered expression of a man who felt betrayed by circumstances beyond his control, whose secrets were finally coming back to haunt him. The two men made small talk, though Michael's mind was clearly elsewhere. Still, he paused to thank Gio for his Christmas violin performance. There was a fleeting softness to the interaction, a reminder that life went on even when the courtroom drama felt like it would swallow him whole. Gio left shortly after, leaving Michael alone with the quiet of the mansion, until Christina arrived, walking in with the hesitation of someone carrying secrets. She began apologizing immediately, sensing the storm she was walking into. "Warn me? Did you know your mom was going to annihilate me in court today?" Michael asked sharply, disbelief lacing his voice. Christina's eyes widened, guilt and fear dancing across her expression. They moved into the living room, where Christina began detailing what she had uncovered about Alexis Davis's strategy. She recounted finding an anonymous note tucked into Alexis' folder, and how she had paid Jacinda to leave town, trying to prevent her from testifying. To Christina's surprise, Jacinda had taken the money and still gone to court, defying their attempts to manipulate the situation. Michael's eyes darkened as he reflected on Jacinda's role. "She did try to warn me," he admitted quietly, "but she got called to the stand anyway. I just wish she'd told me about Ezra before all of this." His confession was heavy, laden with both guilt and regret. "I've told my fair share of lies," he sighed, "I just hope my lies haven't cost me my children." Even so, he was confident that Willow's acquittal was within reach, the one bright spark in a day full of chaos. Meanwhile, across town, Trina and Kai were huddled in her apartment, grappling with the implications of the ringtone they had heard. Kai was almost certain it was Wiley calling Michael, which meant he must have been inside the house for them to hear it. "Kai, stop," Trina insisted. "We need to drop this and stay out of it." Her voice was a mix of urgency and caution. She wasn't about to endanger her sister Jocelyn by turning in her own brother, knowing that the fallout would devastate her. "It would destroy her if something happened to him," Trina explained. "She would protect me, and I have to do the same for her." Kai's mind, however, was consumed with concern for Willow. Who would protect her if the truth remained buried? Trina, confident in Alexis' ability to secure an acquittal for Willow, insisted that their best move was silence. "Our whole goal was to protect my parents in case they were involved with Drew's shooting. Clearly, they're not, so we can leave this alone," she said firmly. Kai, ever the stubborn protector, refused to stay out of it completely, though he promised he wouldn't act without Trina's consent. Trina ultimately agreed to help him prove that it was Michael before making any further moves. She even called Gio over to help them decode Wiley's ringtone. The plan was layered, intricate, and just a little alarming to Gio, who had no idea of the full picture. "This is weird," Gio said cautiously. "I know you have a reason for all of this, but you're going to have to tell me if you want my help." Trina, unwilling to reveal everything, explained that she couldn't elaborate. Gio refused to compromise his ethics, declaring, "I am not going to lie to Wiley or grab his phone because he's a little kid." Trina countered with urgency, "This is about the truth. We both know what it's like to have that kept from us." That hit Gio on a personal level, and despite not knowing all the details, he reluctantly agreed to assist, driven by loyalty and the moral imperative of justice. Meanwhile, at her office, Alexis was in her element, praising Suzanne for her careful handling of the folder that could tip Willow's trial in their favor. A Greek New Year's cake stood on the table as a token of good luck before closing arguments. Since this case is almost won, why not enjoy a piece? Alexis remarked with a smile. But not everyone shared her optimism. Drew arrived with Willow, his expression stormy. Unfortunately, almost is not good enough, he said, his tone laced with defiance. He was shocked to learn that Alexis planned to rest her case when court resumed in the morning, confident that the jury's reasonable doubt would be sufficient for Willow's acquittal. Drew, however, had other plans. He demanded to be called to the stand, intent on putting Michael directly in the crosshairs. I don't want reasonable doubt. I want no doubt, Drew said, his voice commanding. Willow attempted to intervene, insisting that Drew didn't need to speak, but she shocked everyone by suggesting, it can't be you on the stand. It has to be me. Alexis balked at the idea, reminding Willow of her history of courtroom breakdowns, but Drew persisted, threatening the custody arrangements for their child scout to manipulate the situation. Eventually, Alexis relented. You want to testify? Go for it. Don't say I didn't warn you, she said, her patience fraying. The day's courtroom drama left everyone on edge. Outside the office, Drew promised Willow that tomorrow is going to change everything, holding her in a tense embrace that carried more uncertainty than reassurance. Meanwhile, back at PCPD, Dante methodically reviewed the evidence, determined to ensure that Willow wouldn't be wrongfully convicted. He dug into Michael's and Willow's phone records, determined to uncover the exact timeline of Wiley's call. Despite his expertise, Dante admitted to himself that he didn't trust his instincts fully and delegated some of the work to Nathan, who was diligent in combing through the evidence for Ada Turner's benefit. Molly arrived to collect updates for Turner, emphasizing that she was only there on assignment, not as part of the investigation. Turner wants evidence on Willow, she reminded Nathan. So, look for something that will seal our case, not muddy it. Nathan asked whether she was speaking on behalf of the ADA or someone close to Michael, but Molly maintained that she was merely carrying out directives, with no personal agenda involved. In the midst of all this, Tracy confided in Lulu about the mysterious tip that forced her hand in court, betraying both Michael and her own moral code. I made a vow to protect my family. Somebody made me betray Monica, she said, the weight of her confession heavy in the air. Lulu guided her through the events again, helping Tracy realize that Alexis didn't have a witness, only an anonymous tip. Then the person who betrayed me lives in my house, Tracy concluded, eyes wide with the realization. Both women considered the possibility of Chase being the informant. If it is him, heaven help him, Tracy said grimly. At the same time, Dante visited Lulu, ostensibly to check in on Charlotte, but she quickly discerned the heaviness of his thoughts. He admitted lingering guilt over his handling of past investigations involving Michael, fearing that his mistakes might contribute to Willow's potential conviction. Lulu, ever supportive, reassured him that his self-reflection made him effective at his job and that he had been right far more often than wrong. The conversation offered him solace in an otherwise tense atmosphere. Elsewhere, Laura met Ezra at her table at Port Charles Grill, quickly ridding him of the conversation before Marty arrived. She explained that Kevin had taken Ace to Ireland, believing that the child needed distance from Port Charles's chaos and exposure to a new world. Marty doubted her reasoning, finding it contrived, until Laura shared her fears regarding Valentine's threats toward Ace as the sole Cassadine heir. Though skeptical, Marty accepted her rationale, recognizing her protective intentions. Tracy soon confronted Marty about the status of her family's possessions, and he assured her he would try to recover them once Drew's attention shifted away from Willow's trial. Outside, Marty recalled overhearing the conversation between Michael and Tracy on the night of Drew's shooting, adding yet another layer of intrigue and foreboding. Finally, Jacinda met Ezra at a table, where he attempted to pursue a deeper connection after their shared experiences in court. We are finally free. We can have something real now, he said, attempting to bridge the professional and personal. Jacinda, wise to both ambition and circumstance, gently let him down, asserting that a relationship would not serve either their goals. After Ezra left to retrieve wine, Jacinda quietly vanished, leaving unresolved tension lingering like smoke in the air. Every character in Port Charles was now entangled in a web of secrets, threats, and moral dilemmas. The revelation of truths, the strategic maneuvers, and the impending courtroom drama were a baptism of fire for many, testing alliances, resilience, and courage. Some sought justice, others aimed to protect their own. Angry threats and calculated warnings filled the air, but through it all, moments of encouragement, loyalty, and courage shone as glimmers of hope. Whether Michael, Willow, Trina, Kai, Alexis, or Drew, every individual had to navigate the treacherous waters of truth, deception, and family loyalty. The stage was set for explosive confrontations, emotional reckonings, and the undeniable power of revelation in a city that never slept, a city that always demanded that its residents face the consequences of their actions head-on.